تفضل تفضل عبد القوي. وعليكم السلام.
We were talking previously about when somebody is reading the Quran and trying to pick up those subtleties from the verses and things of that nature. I was just asking for some practical tips of how do you extract those subtleties without misinterpreting or going on the extreme and coming to false conclusions.
Bismillah. Question says, with regards to the subtleties of the Quran, its meanings, its secrets, its gems and jewels, etc. How do you come across them? What are some of the practical ways and tips without going too far and delving too deep and becoming misguided, etc.? First and foremost is, many of the subtleties of the Quran, you coming across them is more than enough for you to read what has been discovered. I don't think there's enough time in a day. I don't want to say this, but one may say you don't have enough time in your life, especially at the age in which you're asking 30, 40, whatever, to read all of the subtleties that the ulama have written and spoken on and jotted down with regards to the tafsir, let alone time to come up with your own. So that's first and foremost. There's more than enough that's there. And if the stuff is there already, then alhamdulillah, if it's a reputable, reliable source, you're not going to crash. As far as something that you may not have read before, or in a new modern twist, modern times, this applies to our times. Ibn Kathir, he lived hundreds of years ago in a totally different environment, religious, spiritual environment, political environment. Everything was different in the time of Ibn Kathir. Kullu shay. Of course, certain things remain the same. People are people, but everybody understand the point? There was no United Nations in the time of Ibn Kathir. There was no such thing as the war on terror in the time of Ibn Kathir. There was no such thing as border. There was no TS. There was none of this stuff. Terrorism. There was no FBI in the time of Ibn Kathir. Everybody understand this? CIA and this war. But things were totally different then. The Muslims and how the Muslims lived. Of course, certain things are the same. People were being killed. There were Muslims who fought non-Muslims. There were wars. We're not denying that. So with that being said, for you to modernize something and come across it in a different light, in a different aspect, that's something that's possible. And as far as a practical way of doing it, it's just asking Allah to give you the understanding of the book and to open up your mind and your heart to be worthy and be capable of getting from the secrets of this book, this great, tremendous book. Okay, obviously, if you have some Arabic language, you understand certain principles. This is general. It's deep how it's mentioned here with a masculine pronoun, there with a feminine pronoun. The heavens and the earth say, the qalat, they said, the heavens talk, the mountains, things like this from the lugha. And also from certain tafsir principles that you get. And also formal training. And oftentimes you have the ability to do something, it's in you, but it has to be extracted. It has to be poured out of you. It has to be pressed. It's like an olive. The oil has to be what? Taken out of it. Everybody understand this? The coffee bean is of no use until you what? If you roast it and you grind it. So therefore, many times you have the ability to have talent and in, but you have to be taught in a way. Not only you have to be taught to think in a certain way and to look for certain things like we see in class. Okay, many things I'm sure you read or you come across is not the same anymore. After you learn this principle and this hadith, that don't make sense. Or you have a sharper eye than the average person who hasn't been studying these hadiths all these times. Made to look for certain things and to pick up on certain things. All right. Last but not least, I would say life experience. The more life experience you have, as we just said, you lead a real life. You interact with people. You travel to different countries. You see things firsthand, and then there's no doubt you have the ability to say, "This is from what that verse means." Look, it's happening right here in the airport. Allah says, "This will come. This person will come. I will test my slaves. I will support them," and you feel that. You see it from the life that you live. And it's very important, to have a real life and to live a real life. A real life doesn't have to be nothing spectacular. You don't have to be no superstar or no killer or no tough guy. No, a real life is just living a real life. Experiencing life, being honest, being true. And just Obviously, there are levels to a real life. The more you travel, the more people you deal with, the more situations that you go through. They're a real life. And many of us aren't living real lives. We talk, we say this, but in actuality, we're not really experiencing a real life. And Allah knows best. Ahmed. The question says, I've heard that there are certain people who make takfeer on those who say that Allah is in every place. So with that being said, since the correct aqeedah has become widespread, can takfeer be made upon certain Ash'ari scholars or Ash'ari people, etc.? It's a very thought-provoking question. For someone to say that Allah is in every place, and this person is a follower, blindly following a trusted, reputable source to them, and they think that that's what's correct. Allah says in the Quran, He's with you wherever you may be. Then that's not necessarily applicable to say that they're kuffar, because there's a reason why they're saying that. There's an interpretation, they're following, etc. Let alone the fact that the correct aqeedah, walillah alhamd, which has become widespread through many reasons, many people, many countries, Allah has used them to fund and to spread and to propagate the correct aqeedah, walillah alhamd. And their reward is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No one can deny that virtue. You can say whatever you want to say about Saudi Arabia. Oh, they destroyed the Khalifa, T.E. Lawrence, they fought the Ottomans, they did this, they're friends with the Kufa. Whatever you want to say. You can say whatever you want to say. But what other countries can say about the millions and millions and millions of dollars that were spent and spread in nothing more than the correct aqeedah? Forget these books of hadith, fiqh, just the concept of the correct aqeedah that became widespread through other reasons as well, but from that is the money that they spent on that. The Islamic University of Medina alone, khalas, done. There's nothing else to say after that. Leave off North America, the continent of Africa. What would the aqeedah be like there if it wasn't for the Islamic University of Medina? And Indonesia, and Malaysia, and Philippines, and China, what would it be? What aqeedah would be there? What Muslims would be practicing if it wasn't for Medina University? This is a real fact. Alright? So that's first and foremost. But even that, despite that, the correct aqeedah in many places is still unknown. Many places. And there are many people counted to that are still deceived and tricked and don't know any better. Sometimes it's their fault, and other times it isn't. And you'll be shocked at some of the rural villages and some of the places in which what you're going to go and say and do is totally unheard of. You're speaking a foreign language to them, saying this, the word aqeedah. I've been to some of those places. Not all, not many, but some. And I've seen certain basic things of Islam totally unknown. You understand? So don't ever think that everyone knows and it's clear to everybody. And this goes to show us that the efforts of the callers to Allah have to be intensified. More effort has to be made, more time has to be made, given and sacrificed to spread the message. Midnight time. So that's the second point. Third point is the Ash'aris don't necessarily say that. Rather, the Ash'aris or the Maturidis or people with similar theological background, whatever you want to call it, they normally have a contrast view, the other extreme. Those who say that Allah is in every place, and they say Allah has no place. No place at all. You can't say that Allah is above the throne. If you say that Allah is above the throne, then you're a kafir. If you point towards the throne, if you say Fis Sama, they say you're a kafir. Many of them have this aqeedah. Obviously, they have details among them. Differences, Maturidi, Ash'ari, Habashi, etc. But the general concept is that you cannot say that Allah is in a physical, mortal place. And they say those who hold that view are kuffar. Starting with Ibn Taymiyyah. Even Ibn Taymiyyah wasn't the first one to say that. That's an interesting fact. And the list goes on. Wahhabis are kuffar. So they make takfeer upon those who don't hold their view. But if someone said that Allah doesn't have a location, if Allah doesn't have a mortal location, a makan, once more, they have some type of figurative interpretation. They have some type of ijtihad that they're making. They're following people that are supposed to be trusted and respected, then it isn't the same as someone who blatantly goes against the Quran and the Sunnah and the proper understanding. Someone who knew, who had the ability to read and study and to see the correct aqeedah and choose that batil. that's a different story. That person perhaps could be called a kafir. Someone who grew up in Saudi Arabia, who went to high school there, that studied Aqidah Wasatiyah in middle school. Abu Saeed, not in a class, study this book in what? If you imagine this, what do kids learn in middle school today? Everybody understand this? This is a major book that ulama explain and students memorize. And some students, they may study at what? Middle school. To go to show you how intertwined the what? The Wahhabi quote-unquote Aqidah is. So someone who knew the truth, who came across the proofs and evidences, and he then blatantly said Allah has no place. Allah is in every place. Or this or that. Total different story to someone who grew up in a rural village in West Africa. Or Turkey, or this place or that place. And which that is the Islam that's being practiced there. You understand this? So the ulama of Islam, they've mentioned dawabit, regulations for takfeer. When it is permissible, when it's impermissible, when it's obligatory, when it's haram, when a person can be excused, and when a person is not to be excused. That's in brief. That's what? That's in brief. And Allah knows best. Tafadhal. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Question says, with regards to when we say insha'Allah, can it be done silently or does it have to be made aloud? And can it be replaced or switched or substituted? God willing, Allah willing, if Allah wills, etc. God permitting, etc. As far as saying it, then it should be said to the point in which you can hear yourself. If you say it to yourself in your mind, you don't verbalize it, the concept is there, but you haven't implemented the actual code, state. Doing this. If you type someone, do you have to say insha'Allah in the text or the email, or can you say it to yourself? What's important is as long as you say it. As long as you what? As long as you say it. So I type, I'll be there in 10 minutes, and I say insha'Allah. You've done it. However, there lies no doubt it's best to text what? Insha'Allah. To keep that practice in full motion of not saying or doing anything unless you do say what? Insha'Allah. As far as substituting it, then a yes and a no answer. The meaning of it is the same. If Allah wills, if God wills, bi'idhnillah, similar. But the text clearly say what? Insha'Allah. So it's a good thing to remain upon the original statement, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's you must and you have to. As long as you put your trust in Allah and you openly declare that all affairs go back to Allah. Allah wills. If Allah wills. If God wills. It's in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And even though the qadr is the qadr. And this is one of the interesting points of saying insha'Allah, is that the qadr is always the qadr. Whether you say it or not, it's going to happen. But you as a servant manifest your ubudiyyah. You as a servant, you manifest that you are a servant and a slave. And that you don't know what's going to happen. You have no idea, you have no clue. Only Allah what? Knows. Even if it's something that is clear, you still say what? Insha'Allah. Respect for Allah. Respect for His name. And seeking the barakah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And always never ever forgetting your place as a what? As a servant. And Allah knows best. I believe that's all the time that we have tonight. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على عبده ورسوله نبينا وإمامنا محمد.